There are crimes that defy logic, forensic science, and human sanity itself. We are not talking about solved cases, but mysteries so bizarre that the truth seems to have been stolen. From rituals on Brazilian hills to encrypted codes that terrorized nations. What you're about to hear has no explanation. In the next few minutes, we will dive into the 10 strangest and most inexplicable murders in history, where the only certainty is that justice was never served. This video does not contain graphic images or explicit details, as our focus is on the strangeness of the investigation and the mystery. Prepare to see that reality is darker than any fiction. 10. The disappearance of the Jamison family, 2009. Oklahoma, 2009. The Jamison family, father, mother, and daughter, simply vanished. Their truck was found abandoned, with $32,000 in cash stashed under the seat and their pet dog starving inside. 5 years later, their remains were found in the woods, sitting side by side. The car was in perfect condition. The theory of a shootout was dismissed. What did the family see or hear that made them leave their vehicle with all that money? The case was classified as a suspicious death, and the motive remains a ghost. 9. The Hinterkaifeck Mystery, 1922. A farmer, his family, and their maid were brutally attacked on an isolated farm in Germany. The bizarre detail: days earlier, the farmer had noticed footprints in the snow coming from the forest, but none going back. Keys had gone missing, and footsteps were heard in the attic. The killer lived in the house for days with the bodies before fleeing. Police investigated hundreds of suspects, but the case was never solved, and the reason behind the massacre remains a cold mystery. 8. The Axemen of New Orleans, 1918. A series of brutal attacks on Italian-American residents occurred in New Orleans. The killer, nicknamed the Axeman, sent letters to the press, promising to spare any house where a jazz band was playing that night. His identity and motivation remain one of the great enigmas of American criminology. Was he a serial killer or a being that demanded a soundtrack to abstain from murder? 7. The Taman Shud Murder, 1948. Adelaide, Australia. A man is found dead on a beach. He has no identification. In his trouser pocket, police find a small torn piece of paper with the Persian words Taman Shud, finished or ended. The phrase belonged to the last page of a rare book, later found, which contained an encrypted code. The puzzle involved intelligence services, but the meaning of the code and the man's identity are still unknown. 6. The Lake Bodom Murders, 1960. 4 teenagers were camping by a lake in Finland. 3 were brutally murdered with blows to the head. A 4th survived. The survivor became the prime suspect, but a lack of evidence absolved him. The strangest part: the killer took the victim's most valuable possessions, clothes, wallets, but left a pair of shoes and the bicycles. What was the killer truly searching for? The mystery turned into local folklore, and the truth remains at the bottom of the lake. 5. The Keddy Murders, 1981. Inside a cabin in a mountain park in California, 4 people, a mother, 2 children, and a friend, were found murdered. The father, who was also in the cabin, was spared. No weapon was found, and the bodies had been bound and mutilated in a ritualistic manner. The crime was so savage and the evidence so confusing that police could never establish a clear motive, and the case was eventually filed, becoming a local legend. These are the files that sleep in the dark. But some mysteries are so complex that the silence of the night is the only witness left. 4. The Deck of Cards Killer, 2003. The 4th entry on our list is The Deck of Cards Killer, a case that terrified Madrid, Spain. In 2003, this serial killer's modus operandi was incredibly subtle and disturbing. He attacked random victims in isolated areas, usually shooting them discreetly without leaving clear traces. But after every crime, the killer left a macabre and inexplicable signature, a playing card. At the crime scene, he would scatter a single face-up card. It was the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, and so on, in sequence. Police found the bodies, and with each new card, the city's panic grew. No one understood the logic behind the sequence or what the cards symbolized to the killer. But with every new number revealed, they knew another body was on the way. The card sequence eventually stopped, and a suspect turned himself in. But the evidence never fully linked him to the original crimes. The true identity of the deck of cards killer was never confirmed. The highest card in the sequence was never found, leaving investigators and the public with the question, did the serial killer stop, or is he just waiting to play his final card? 3. The disappearance of Maura Murray, 2004. Maura Murray, a nursing student, emailed her family and job saying she needed time off due to family and health emergencies. A few hours later, she got into a car accident on an isolated New Hampshire road. When police arrived, Maura was gone. She left everything behind: her keys, her cell phone, and a map. Did she run from someone? Was she abducted? The absence of a struggle and the total silence from Maura Murray make this one of the strangest missing persons cases in recent U.S. history. 2. The Zodiac Killer, late 60s and 70s. This is the most famous American serial killer who, strangely, simply stopped killing. The Zodiac terrorized California, murdering randomly. But his greatest cruelty wasn't the murders, but the letters. He sent cryptic messages and encrypted codes to the police and newspapers, mocking the authorities' inability to find him. To this day, the Zodiac's identity is unknown, and the mystery remains, proving that sometimes the most disturbed criminal mind is the one that demands to be the protagonist of its own terror. 1. The Dyatlov Pass. Mystery, 1959. 9. Experienced skiers died under inexplicable circumstances in the Ural Mountains, Russia. The camp was intact, but the tents had been cut open from the inside. The bodies were found miles away, unclothed and with bizarre injuries. Bones fractured by an overwhelming force, yet with no sign of a struggle. The clothing of some victims had high levels of radiation. What caused an experienced group to flee their camp in a blizzard, barefoot, and in a panic? The official explanation is vague, but theories range from military testing to paranormal phenomena. No one can escape their past, and these 10 cases prove that the truth is often the hardest victim to find. If these mysteries brought you more questions than answers, it's because you understood the dark nature of reality. Which of these inexplicable murders shocked you the most? Leave your comment and share your theory. And if you want to dive deeper into the world's strangest files, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The darkness awaits you next.